Advanced Manual Specialty Speeches, Project number 2, Uplift the Spirit. The speech is titled A Little Note. Please welcome Marvin Corea.
It's amazing how a little note changed my life. It was October 1994. I was in the Army at the time, stationed in Panama. That was my first duty station, was Panama. I was a 19-year-old, freewheeling, Spanish speaker in a Spanish-speaking country at the time of my life, really. I had recently bought a car. It was something unusual in Panama, a 1979 blue Chevy Caprice. If you know about the Caprices, they're nice long hoopty in a sea of small Toyotas and Nissans in Panama. Needless to say, I was a little bit out there, besides being non-Panamanian, and the fact that I had a big old car, it kind of stood out. But I enjoyed it. On this particular Saturday in October 1994, I was going with some Army buddies and some local lady friends to the beach. Very sunny day, as it usually is throughout the year in Panama. We were about halfway through this 90-minute trip, and all of a sudden, pop! Pull off to the side of the road, and sure enough, I have a flat. Great. Not a problem. I had driven before, I had replaced tires before, went ahead and did that. We were on our merry way, got to the beach, enjoyed it. Nice sunny weather with a lot of new friends and old friends. Made it back to the city, and as a responsible young 19-year-old that I was at the time, that Sunday I went to this local tire shop called Mall. It was about a mile away from the base, going out the back of the gate. I went there. They normally try to take advantage of you, since he's not Panamanian, let's charge him a little bit more. But since I spoke Spanish, I could more or less handle it. I went ahead and got my tire replaced, and then something caught my eye. Or should I say, someone caught my eye. I happened to have, I don't know why, but I had a little notepad on me, and on that particular occasion, I decided to write a little note that said, I don't know, there's something about you. Call me. And I left my phone number. And I didn't give it to that person, but I gave it to her coworker who was there. I wasn't, let's say, too shy, or maybe I was shy because I didn't give it to her directly. But I gave it to her coworker, and I didn't know what I was expecting. I was hoping for a call back. It turned out that someone did call me back a few days later, but I found out probably years later that it wasn't actually her who called. It was the coworker who had called. But that was fine. We ended up meeting at a local place. I still know the first place that we went to was called Don Li. It was a local Chinese restaurant. Very enjoyable time. 9 months later, after we first met, October 1994, we got married. 9 months later, I was still 19 at the time. I told my parents after the fact. Needless to say, they were a little surprised, but we made the decision. And I don't think it was a formal proposal. It was more like, "Hey, let's get married." It's like, "Yeah, sure." 23 years later, 4 kids later, and much travels and much trials and tribulations, partly mostly because of my mistake. But I'm here. And the fact that what's significant, what I think about is like that little note. If I had not written that little note, my life would have been so different. And I'm very glad I did. 23 years later, going strong through ups and downs, again, mostly because of my doing. But what if I hadn't written that? I don't even think about that because it's not something that I look back and say, what if this would have happened? No, this is my life and I enjoy it. Now, the question for you is, it was a gut instinct for me to do that. Are there things that you are putting off, that you are not deciding on, that you should be doing? Could there be something that you do now, today, that can affect your life significantly in the future? I tell my kids, save, 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 so you can invest a certain amount in the future. It's difficult to think about it now for kids, but it's something that you need to do. Or I tell my son also, if there's someone that you see that you want to talk to, go ahead and make the conversation. You never know. It happened to me. I'm so glad I wrote that little note. I'm here 23 years later. I'm expecting to be at least 50 years more if possible. So write that note, make that decision, talk to someone that you think you have a gut instinct to talk to. I impel you to do it.